Because he's recording. Does he need it to record? He's got a microphone.
Well, when we have people speak, I have a microphone that will be attached to that speaker. Ken, you let us know if you're getting it. I'm going to turn off the mics, and usually we project well enough, but if you see any problems, let us know, okay?
When do you want me to go on? Okay, that, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it does. All right, we're going to go ahead and...
One second, please.
We're all ready?
Almost. Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the Orangevale Recreation Park District Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, December 13th. We'll call it 6:35. The Board of Directors may take up any item, any agenda item at any time regardless of order listed. Action may be taken on any item on the agenda. Roll call.
Erica Swenson, present. Mike Stickney,
Present.
Manny Moraz,
Present.
Sharon Brunberg,
Here.
Lisa Montez. Here.
All right, then we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of agenda as written.
I move we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So we'll call it 5-0. Any person may address the board upon any subject within the jurisdiction of the Orangevale Recreation Park District, with each speaker being limited to 3 minutes. However, tonight, because of anticipated numbers of people who may want to speak, we're going to limit it to 2 minutes. Chairperson can impose reasonable limitations to the maximum time per person and per agenda item to allow the board to complete its business. Any matter that requires action will refer to staff or committee for report and action at a subsequent meeting. Okay, we're on to 6A, approval of minutes from November 8th.
I move we approve the minutes of November 8th.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, second. Any corrections or whatever? Okay, then let's vote.
Stickney,
Yes.
Moraz,
Yes.
Brunberg,
Yes.
Montez,
Yes.
Swenson, yes.
Okay, then we're going to go on to 7A, which is correspondence from our attorney billing.
I move we approve the confidential attorney billing in October 2018.
I'll second that. Let's go ahead and vote. It's an individual vote.
Moraz,
Yes.
Brunberg,
Yes.
Montez, yes. Swenson, yes. Stickney,
Yes. Okay, 7B, a letter from LAFCO inviting nominations by the 17th. You want to go into that at all, Greg, or?
Page 10.
Yes. So nominations are in for Special District Advisory Committee members, and this particular group is a group of 17, and what it says here is that the purpose of the committee is to provide LAFCO with input on issues related to special districts, as well as to receive information on issues before the commission. And so this is one of LAFCO's commissions, and they're asking for anyone that would like to be nominated from any district board and the nominations are due Monday, December 17th. It's a quarterly meeting. Do we have anyone interested?
No, I passed.
I did it once.
I did it twice.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's it.
All right. All right, then we're on 7C. This is a letter from the Sacramento County Employees Retirement System, SCRS.
All right, last February, if you remember, we had a letter very, very similar to this, where we looked at a 7-year projection, and I went through the entire letter with you. I don't think that this is much of a change, other than it's an update based on their actuarial study that was done this summer. And so what it's doing is it's basically updating those numbers for their 7-year projections. And every year they'll do an actuarial report, which will then revise it again. And so I think that what you see here is, well, they want to make the point is their actuarial studies every year are going to determine what the rates end up being, because there could be some dramatic turn potentially in the stock market or something else that would affect their actuarial study, which then potentially affects the rates. And so if you look, it's laid out very similar to the one that we reviewed in February. I think that the key part is on the last page of this particular report, which is on page 18. And so if you look on page 18, I asked Sturs and Eric, the director, if he would just do a little table for us that would make it easy for us to kind of see the difference between the February letter and the letter and this letter. And so you'll see the two reports, the actuarial evaluation that was done 6/30/17, and then it compares it to the actuarial study that was done 6/30/18, and then the difference between those two studies. And so you'll see the difference as a negative 0.29%. So they did a little better than they had projected, 6 months or actually a full year earlier. And so the rates then for next year are projected to be slightly less than they had projected. And then you kind of see their projections going out have been revised also and lowered slightly for the next several years. And so I think it's just a good gauge. Before the new executive director took over at SCRS, they didn't have this kind of longer-term projection, which I think is helpful for districts to look at and understand what those potential retirement numbers are going to look like going forward. Any questions?
Yeah, so the bottom line is our rates are up slightly. Maybe.
Slightly from what they had anticipated.
They're going to get this every October, I think. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll kind of keep this time frame.
So it'll fit in with our budgeting better then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions on?
No, we'll come first.
All right, so then the consent calendar. We're going to get a motion to approve the consent calendar that's written.
I move we approve the consent calendar.
And I'll second it. And we did pull the one item on
It's item 9.
9A.
Yeah, it's actually a totally separate item.
Right.
It's a non-consent item.
Okay, all right. So we have a motion and a second. I had a couple of questions. Brady and Jennifer answered those for me.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. So we can vote on that, please.
Grunberg,
Yes.
Montez, yes. Swenson, yes. Stickney,
Yes.
and Moraz.
Yes.
Okay, now we're on to 8.3, Kenneth.
Then we're on to 9.
9A. Ratification of claims for October 2018, page 42. Can I get a motion?
I motion we approve the ratification of claims for October 2018.
Non-consent item. Okay.
Non-consent item.
All right, and I'll second that. Okay, motion and a second. Go ahead and vote.
Montez? Abstain. Swenson? Yes. Stickney?
Yes.
Mraz?
Yes.
Grunberg?
Yes.
Okay, and we're on the standing committees, and we had none. But we did have a meeting, but it'll be on next month's special meeting. All right, then we're on to 11A, activities report.
All right, I just have a couple things I'd like to highlight under my section. A developer came in and spoke with me about the Holden property again. Just as a refresher, if you remember, the Holden and Star property was kind of the original one that came to the board. I think that was over 10 years ago because it was just slightly before my time. And they proposed 2-acre lots from the corner all the way back to have a drive area. And for whatever reason at the time, the project did not go, I think, all the way through.
It was approved by the Board of Supervisors.
Yes,
That project.
so it was actually entitled at the time, but then they decided that they weren't going to build it. And so since then, we've had a couple different projects come our way, and either through the CPAC and public comment, they were not brought forward either. So now this project is a little bit different because it's splitting the Star and Holden properties. The Star property is, in essence, I think the best way to describe it is kind of a strawberry field. Okay, it's from Hazel Avenue up, I'm not sure exactly how far, but up of a ways in the property. And then the Holden property is from there on to the Conway Drive and Peerless, area. So that's the property we're talking about, kind of the thing that's kind of in the middle. And they're looking at the same plans as the original Star Holden property, 2-acre sites. And so they are going through the process with the county to see what they need to do. Do they need to go through an entire entitlement process, or because it was entitled back then and it was a very similar in concept, can they preclude some of that and move forward? And so we will see. I don't know what the answers as far as the county situation and any appeal that they're making to the county. They are proposing the same area that we had set out for the trail under the power lines. I believe that it was back then, the trail that was, the board had agreed to, I believe was 50 feet, and then their development of that trail.
So Holden's is the one that starts at Hazel? I thought this was
No.
starts at...
Just the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite, right? Starts
Did I misspeak? So it's the
yeah.
Star property by Hazel, and then this one, this developer is the Holden property. So
The access would be via Peerless.
Right.
I believe so.
Because you can't, the whole property that was approved by the county, the one access was from Hazel.
Correct, and that is not anymore the case. So it is coming from a different street. So it was just a first meeting. They were just giving me a heads up, and we will find out more, I'm sure, in the upcoming months. A couple other things I just wanted to mention again. We've been meeting and negotiating with Crown Castle. If you remember, we kind of broke off the negotiations about 2 years ago.
Right.
And it was a kind of a combination. I think at the time, Crown Castle had just kind of taken over the, I don't know what it's even called.
Service contract?
Yeah, service contract for it, because T-Mobile still owns the site, but T-Mobile is Crown Castle is the group that manages that cell tower now. And so we both have been talking to them about a renewed lease, which will probably come to you in the next couple of months for you to look at it. And it would be extending the lease a certain period of time, possibly up to 20 years, with increased amounts of revenue and when those amounts will move up and how much per year and all of that. So I just wanted to let you know that we are talking about that. They are requesting at least 200 square feet of additional space so that they can have the opportunity to sell additional power space to another vendor. And that is to our advantage because, as you are aware, we used to have clear wireless on the pole for probably 3 or 4 years, and an additional revenue to the district, which is always helpful. I think it was about $1,000.
That's this one here, not the one.
Yes, it's the one near the disc golf.
Wasn't one of the hang-ups of the original lease, they could have subleases and we didn't get any, or is that?
No, we have always received things for the subleases. And it was actually, I think, a good arrangement for the Clear Wireless. Clear Wireless. I would get them mixed up with Clear Channel, which is our bus stop, things with the county. So, but anyway, that's going to be coming up. We've been discussing with them, and I think that things are moving along, at least to bring to the board for your perusal. And
The swamp, land swap, I see you got a little of that in there.
yeah, we'll talk about the land swap next on the agenda. If you have any highlights that you'd like to do for recreation or for parks, Station or Horizon?
I just want to mention that Bruce and I went down to Southern California for the maintenance management school, and I thought it was a good program that they had. Bruce enjoyed the classes that he had, and I think he took a lot out of it, and I as well. Mine was a little more personal and personal growth. So I'll be sharing a little bit with the staff, and we have a meeting or bring a topic in so that I can share some of that. And that was one of the highlights that I think I was mentioning, as well as we're continuing mulching all of our leaves out of the park. So I think giving back to the ground all the nutrients and saving a little bit of money as well, and the waste.
So you're mulching on the side, or you're taking it a certain other?
So the process normally is we blow them off the area, we spread them out, and we run mulching blades with the mower so that they turn into small pieces that they decay and they go back into the ground. So it's, as you know, we have a lot of trees and a lot of leaves in our park, so I think that's a good investment in continuing to use mulching blades for our grass and
the audit from our campus now.
That's good.
We're going to report
In the
later.
next few months, I haven't heard back from them.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
It'll be January or February most likely. Sometimes he has to delay if he has another district or another audit that he has to report on the same night, but it'll be probably one of those two.
I see you gave us a little January 8th for the electric presentation.
Yeah, let's, why don't we just, if do you have any other questions on the activity report?
Yeah.
All right. Well, going down to item B, the land swap has now been completed. It's been completely signed and is done now, so we own that property up to the fence line at Orangevale Community Farm.
I think you said they're going to come in 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
Are they going to go back in and do some more change their fencing?
I think that, I mentioned before that San Juan has discussed safety issues at parks and the potential for them to come in and do more fencing for their own security. And I haven't heard of any timeline or anything like that, but I anticipate that eventually that may come.
I think you wanted to make sure they had gates in the open space to the north of there. Did you say something like that?
I may have, I'll just have to kind of reach that.
Because you were concerned if they put some fencing up, that they consider having access to it for the kind of nature classes that they might have.
Oh, yeah. So I think also what you're talking about is we are looking to enhance our trails,
Right.
just like we've discussed in our Orangevale Community Park Master Plan. And so as part of that, we wanted to connect some of our trails into their DG trail, which they have a nice DG trail that kind of goes all the way around the school. And so, yes, we do want to discuss that with them.
When he gets a little further along. Okay.
And item C, update on the Sac Metro Fire District surplus land sale. This is the fire station on Main that's been abandoned for a number of years. They had a tenant in there for probably 4 years, and then I think for the last short time it's been vacant. And it's a nice little building. It has a good roof. It's got a nice kind of big bay area where they park the fire trucks. The inside is a little bit, needs quite a bit of work. We need some ADA accessibility work on the restrooms, and the room spaces aren't terribly efficient for some of the things we do. The rooms aren't very big. But we're looking at it from a staffing standpoint, and we had a chance to go by, and Director Stickney and Director Mraz came out, and we got a tour inside, and we're able to look at the landscape also, because there's quite a grade that starts out on Main and then slopes down into a little stream type area, and it's about 7 total acres. The land has actually been cared for quite well. So we'll probably have this as an agenda item in January and talk a little more about it. But that's kind of where we're at as a staff. We are looking at whether it's really feasible or possible to program and really do anything with that down in that area of the district.
I think Manny had a question. Didn't you have one?
Yeah, what's the current zoning of the property? Is it all one piece zoned, or is the house separately zoned from the?
I believe there's 3 parcels. They're all zoned the same, and they're all zoned open space recreation.
And that includes the building.
It includes the building as well.
So they're all O-zone.
And the only thing, and I asked you already before, but I'll ask you again. It's 2,000 square feet, and I wasn't sure if that included the garage or...
And I'm not sure, but just looking at the building, I would say it definitely included the garage, because it is not a very big building, and I'm virtually certain it includes the
Well,
garage.
that was my, because it seemed like, I know when most people's houses, when they say you got 1,000 square feet, it doesn't include the garage.
Exactly. I think this does, though.
Whatever.
Their dimensions, they measured.
All right, so we will put that on the agenda.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it on the January agenda.
Okay.
Item D is the electric greenway trail. Things are moving along on 2 fronts. One, we have written a letter to the Escalonia residents that we've been talking with that are right on the corner. And one of the residents is ready to move forward with the sale, as he was several years ago. And I had a chance to talk to both of the other residents today, actually, and they are at least willing to sit down and discuss it. So we're going to set up a meeting first part of the year to meet with them and discuss the potential of acquiring property. We've already done the appraisals of the property, and they're kind of looking over some of the paperwork now, and then we will get together in January. The other thing is we're having a community meeting to discuss the trail, which you have, and anyone that's here, if you're interested, this is the electric greenway trail that we are doing in conjunction with the City of Citrus Heights, the Sunrise Recreation and Park District, and it goes from the Sunrise Marketplace through to Wachtel. And it's basically a Class 1 trail that would move through the community. And so now we're starting our community outreach and our meetings for that. The first meeting is in January on the 8th, Tuesday, January 8th, and it's at the Sunrise Tech Center. There's some flyers here if anybody's interested, and I left flyers with the board as well. And we will obviously be participating with the city at that meeting.
Will we have somebody from our district at this one?
Yeah, I'm going to be there,
I'm gonna
and
go.
maybe some of our staff as well.
I will definitely go.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good project.
Yeah. Next, item E is the update on Hazel Avenue Sidewalk Improvement Project. This is the sidewalk improvement from Elm to Central on Hazel.
On that side, right?
It's both sides.
On both sides.
And it's, they received a grant, I believe it's a federal grant to do this project. We discussed previously on our side, there's one gap, and that's the area where we own the parcel that's undeveloped, that was future library site. And the county has a policy not to develop any parcels, sidewalk, curb gutter, etc., on parcels that have not been developed yet, because you don't know where the curb cuts are going to be, for driveways, entrance, exit, all that kind of stuff. And so what I've talked to them about is providing an additional roadway space in lieu of a sidewalk, since that's not part of their policy to do. And so what they're going to do is they're going to extend, they were already extending the asphalt 4 feet, and they're going to extend it an additional 2 feet, so there'll be 6 feet of asphalt from the line or whatever. And so it will be a much safer walk than it currently is, even though it's not ideal for what we are looking at.
It's definitely not ideal. It's still very dangerous not to have that as a sidewalk. It wouldn't take that much for them to disrupt or change it for future. I mean, we've held that property there for a long time in hopes of it being a library and having that safety access to the community center and other things. That's disappointing.
Yeah, I can't believe they wouldn't figure it's going to be
Right.
contiguous. Our sidewalk would be contiguous.
Right.
Why not
If
make it
nothing
go
else, they
forward?
could come back in and chip out the one section.
Exactly.
So it's not a long
Who would we,
stretch.
who could we talk to? I'd like to voice my opinions on it.
Well, I think that you could definitely, I think that possibly from the board standpoint, talking to Sue Ross would be I think
So
a
should
good
we
start.
start doing it, or should we just have you send a letter?
on behalf of the board.
Yeah, I think that was, especially with them, not having the funds to necessarily continue the library here, we've been an advocate to help in that manner in any way possible. But for just creating the safety for our kids to get to the community center, just to be safe in all aspects, to just stop the sidewalk is,
So I think what we're doing is let's put the sidewalk all the way down to
Absolutely.
Regency Baptist, right?
Right, let's connect the sidewalks.
Yeah. That's what I proposed to them, and they did not agree, but we can certainly push the
Can we-
issue
yeah, can we push
and-
it from the
and
board?
Talk with Supervisor Frost.
When is the next time she's having a meeting, so one of us can make an appearance there?
I think probably it might, I'm not sure exactly, but it's probably going to be too late for us. We would need to contact her fairly soon and see if we could get something going, because I felt like it was a fairly reasonable compromise, considering they applied for the grant, did not apply for this section. Prices, as you know, have gone up significantly. I think they're really concerned that they're going to be significantly underfunded for the whole section, which, that's happening to everyone right now, with costs of concrete the way they are and things. So that's that side of it. But I think it's certainly worth
I think
talking
at least one of the board members would like me to send a letter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we-
All right. And so then the second part of the project is the west side of Hazel. And the west side of Hazel is, a bus stop is being added to that side of the park, I mean that side of the street. And they are looking to acquire a small number of square footage to pop out for a little bus stop, just like they have on this side. And in doing that, they need an encroachment permit, they need to remove part of our fence, in that area. And I contacted them because I was uncomfortable with the bus stop being close to our playground, which is just going to be renovated, and having the fence not be as substantial as we might want with that kind of proximity between the bus stop and the playground. And so I contacted them, and they, actually, what I did is I asked MTW to draw a design for the fence so that I could show them something, which he did, and I gave it to them. They looked it over and said, I gave them a price that I thought it was going to take, and they came back and said, we would like to do it ourselves to your specifications as part of the project. And so they are going to supply the fencing from the corner of our property just basically to the Linda Lane. They won't go any further west with the fence once it gets to Linda Lane. But that's something that we could take on as part of the project later if we wanted to have a wing, slightly up Linda Lane.
Can we see what the fence is going to look like? What MTW, essentially what they'll be using?
Yes, I'll bring it to you in January at the meeting. Basically, we're looking at a couple different options. I felt that it should be a visible, see-through material, and that brings us to probably 2 or 3 different types of fencing. One would be wrought iron, one would be kind of it's like wrought iron, but it's more of a, I don't know how to describe it. It's more like, it's not that, but it's more of a post, that's metal. And the third is a fencing that I chose that it's see-through, but it's small metal squares. I think about this large with best I can describe it is when you pour concrete and you lay down the mesh, but a lot nicer.
Like hot wire.
So, it's that kind of product.
Yes.
And I think it looks good, it will be nice, and
4x4, 6x4.
you'll be able to see through it really well from the street, because I think once we have the playground built, we want people to be able to see the playground and see the field and be enticed to come in and utilize it. So I will bring that back in January and let you know, but that's what we determined.
My question is, then will this fence cover our new sign that we have?
Actually, that's one of the reasons why I wanted MPW to do something, because so his drawing basically comes, up, angles back, and then across the sign.
In front of it?
Behind it.
Behind it, okay, because that's...
So the sign is more visible. And so, because the sign we didn't have a choice on, we had to put it back that far because of the easement.
The easement, right. And I just don't want a sign, the fence covering up our sign.
Right. And so that's, the design has it to moving behind the sign. So that's that. And so that's coming forward, and we'll see that next month, I believe.
And so this is still yet to be approved by the county, that what we approve it and they...
Yes, we will have a full set of documents for approval, because it's actually an easement that they were planning to compensate us about $5,900, and the fencing was about $12,000. And so I verbally agreed to waive our $5,900 for them building the fence, to the corner. The board can agree or disagree with that decision, but just to move things along, that's what I propose.
Yeah, it's a good trailer.
All right. Any other questions about the?
No, I think we've discussed that now.
Okay, then we're going to go on to unfinished business. We have none, so then we're going to go on to oath of office for the newly elected officers.
All right, so I have the oath of office to read, so I would like our 3 newly elected board of directors to come up here.
Manny, how many terms do you have? 5 terms. Congratulations. How about you, Sharon?
I lost track.
Not as many as Mandy, but close.
Why don't we, I don't know, since,
Can you see this okay?
all right, turn this slightly. Okay, all right.
Same?
This is your oath of office, so after I say aye, you'll fill it in, okay? So, this is for the office of Orangevale Recreation and Park District Board of Directors.
Right hand?
I, yes, please, please, raise your right hand, thank you, Manny. I
Sharon Lundberg.
Erica Swanson.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
To
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
That I will
discharge the duties that I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sharon,
I'll do this.
congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
guess I have to, does that tell me how many times, if I count how many I have?
Start counting.
You want us to close for a picture in there? Yeah, why don't we get a picture for our,
And
I
with,
was talking.
one with one like this?
yeah, just like that. So just come out here and,
Okay. That's what
Oh, wow, I'm the tall one for once.
you have heels.
Everybody's the tall one.
great,
All
thank you.
right,
Thank you.
send that to the Orangevale View.
Absolutely.
He likes pictures, I've heard. Or they like pictures.
But he does.
Okay, we're going to go on to 13B, public hearing, consideration approval of pay-to-play at Shady Oaks Golf Course.
All right, so you want to do the staff report, please?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, and then I'll have my statement on the public comment.
All right, so we've had numerous meetings about this, and we have discussed it at length. We've had a survey go out, got some response in regard to a lot of these things at the disc golf course. We have had 2 ad hoc committee meetings on the subject. The most recent was in October. And what I wanted to share is this report that you have is, I color-coded it so you kind of would have an idea, because when we started this last March, almost February, I did a mini business plan at which I outlined most of this. And so what you're seeing is the black has very few changes from the original that we did back in the spring. And if anyone in the audience, there is a color version right over here on the desk if anyone would like to take a look at it. And so the second meeting was then the ad hoc committee meeting, which is in red. And that was kind of in preparation for our ad hoc committee meeting. It was what I did before that. And then if you notice the updated 10-10-18, the blue is what we discussed at the ad hoc committee meeting and the recommendations of the ad hoc committee. And then the orange is the couple things that I added for this meeting.
Which is at the end.
That sometimes is helpful when you have this over and over again. I hope it was helpful for you.
Yeah.
A couple things that I wanted to highlight is on page 48. And I want to highlight kind of the objections, and most of them really stayed the same. I think they were articulated maybe a little better and a little differently at the ad hoc committee meeting. But generally, I think that they've remained the same. And we may hear some additional things tonight. But the first thing was that it's a difficult course in a lot of respects because there really isn't anything to preclude people from coming onto the course in any of the different areas to start to play. And so it's a little difficult logistically to monitor whether people have paid or not. We have talked about a system for that, but that is one thing that was brought up. The precedence of being the first play-to-play course in the area and the potential for other courses to follow in the future. I heard that as a pretty significant area for all the disc golfers in the community. That they didn't want to be the course that set the precedent. And I think that was very important for them.
But I thought Sunrise already does.
Sunrise
It's
is a private course.
Now public. Well, it was a golf course.
Owned by someone.
No, by the,
It was a Park District golf course?
No, it was just a public golf course. It was owned privately.
Right, but I'm saying it wasn't a county, it wasn't county. It was
Right.
not a regular park.
It wasn't the
It was
county.
a disc golf range and golf course that added disc golf.
Okay.
So it's not apples and apples.
And it's closed.
And it's closed.
long. Yeah. And so that particular course, I think I mentioned, is closed and it's being developed into a housing development. So the third thing, the potential for club members to possibly not be as actively involved in policing the course and completing the projects for course improvement. That's hard to really know because we have a lot of very dedicated people that love this course, and some of these potential objections are difficult to know whether they'll end up being a real negative or not. It's hard to tell. It could result in additional course vandalism. It eliminates those that couldn't afford to pay a fee to play. There was a recommendation that Shady Oaks Disc Golf Club members potentially receive yearly pass resident rates if this was instituted. And then the advantages were that the fees that are collected from the disc golf course would be administered separately in an enterprise fund that would just surround the disc golf course, and all of the monies collected would go back into the both maintenance and projects on the disc golf course. It might provide depending on the number of people estimated or that actually are charged in pay to play, might allow us to do some of the larger projects like a new restroom or extended parking lot, and would allow us to improve or provide more resources toward a marshaling program, a policing program, and also then to have money for improving some of the environmental things that we would like to do on the course. So after some of those initial things were brought forth in our meetings, our ad hoc meetings and other meetings, then our ad hoc committee met on October 10th. We talked about a lot of different things. I think every one of those things were discussed at greater length. We talked about fundraising ideas that we might be able to implement if fees weren't enacted. And Director Montez suggested the club become a nonprofit so that we could encourage people to donate, whether it be money, resources, materials, to improve the course. And I think that is about it. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of great discussion at that meeting. And then the final recommendation by the committee, Director Montez made a motion to recommend that we withdraw the proposal that we recommend to the board, the committee recommended to the board, that we withdraw the motion, withdraw the proposal for pay to play, and that the staff work with the disc golf club and members of the community to look at ways that we could meet our goals in other ways. And so the end result was that Director Mraz and Director Montez were not ready to recommend pay to play to the board. So we are now at a point where we are bringing it to the entire board. If you look at the recommendation of the ad hoc committee on page 50 that I just discussed, we're here to have a public hearing before the whole board to discuss this. The last thing that I want to mention is that I've included the draft budget scenarios for four different possible scenarios, and they each vary based on the projected revenue from pay to play. And if you notice, A1 has the highest revenue estimate, and I hope that you've had a chance to look over these. The first three were included in the committee meetings and were discussed there. The fourth was something that I was requested by Director Grunberg to put together, and she wanted to see what, if we were more conservative.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, kind of like worst case scenario, what the results would be. And if you notice the daily passes, we reduced from C1 as 250 weekday passes to 125, and weekend from 200 to 100. The yearly passes were changed, and they were changed on every one of the budget sheets. And after going through this process, we talked about a yearly pass for residents and Shady Oaks members as $70, A yearly pass for residents as 100. If they weren't members of Shady Oaks. For non-residents and Shady Oaks members, 130, and for non-residents, 150.
We didn't change the price, we just changed, I thought, the volume.
Yeah, well, actually, the prices were changed slightly because in the initial budget estimates, we didn't include any discounts for the club members. It was just straight residents or non-residents. And so...
I'm not seeing it different than the other variations, 70, 100, 130, 150, on each of the other scenarios.
Yes, just to clarify, I actually took this proposed structure and copied it into the other structures.
Oh, okay.
So, because this was a compilation of thoughts over that entire 6-month period, and so that's what I put in here.
And so this,
And
let me, hold on, I
Yeah.
just want to be clear that the fourth proposal, the fourth adjustment was requested by you, Director Bumberg, at what meeting?
just personally,
Just to add to the, add it to the board packet as an option. I want to know what the numbers would look like if we were more conservative in our estimates of getting daily passes or yearly passes, and just basically, I mean, reduce the revenue from 112,000 to almost half that, 68,000. I want to make sure that we were fiscally responsible, that we would cover our direct expenses if, in fact, our
I get that.
numbers.
I just wondered
I just want to make
when
sure.
it was requested, because we have a fourth document and an additional meeting that we don't have minutes to. So I just want to be clear, being on that committee meeting, I just want to know all. So, thank you.
And so basically the point we're at is that we have a recommendation from the committee to not go forward with pay-to-play. And we're here tonight to take any additional public comment and then have the board discuss it and make a decision. Any questions for the staff or on the staff?
I do need to point out, I'm sorry, Greg, but on
That's fine.
D1, the column 1920, the formula wasn't carried out for the rest. The 68,350 should have been across all the columns.
Oh, that's
So
true.
basically, yeah, each year, the 6256 would have carried over. But all I needed to know was 1 year, whether we could cover direct expenses plus police patrols. That was my goal with that scenario.
Right, okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Other than that, I don't have any.
Right. Anything else?
No, I don't have any unless the board has any questions of me.
Okay. Due to the potential length of tonight's meeting and the number of people that may wish to speak to the agenda item, we are going to limit the public comment portion to 2 minutes per speaker.
Mike,
I
I think that we don't have that
We
many
don't.
people. I think that we could easily take 3 minutes.
That's a board's,
It's up to you. I mean, I'm just
no,
saying.
I mean, it's,
I'm okay with 3 minutes. We're
all right,
not
we'll go back to a regular 3 minutes
3
per
minutes.
person. We want everybody to share their thoughts. If you hear something, someone say, express a point that you would like to express, you're welcome to say that you agree at that point at your time, and it will be noted and move on to another point. So basically, you're going to have 3 minutes per person. You need to fill out one of the
Yeah, has everyone filled out a form that's wanted to speak?
We are looking for your input. Do we have, anybody up there?
Bigger meeting at the, bigger hearing than that.
Right now, we have one. Just me? Come up, fill out a form.
You guys are rude, but I've got to say.
We're going to wait 1 minute, let everybody have an opportunity to fill out the form.
All right, we need to open our public hearing.
I'm going to go through the public hearing part. Mr. Jim Oates, you're up first.
Okay.
Well, just please state where you live and if you
I
want.
live in Orangevale, over off Pershing Avenue.
Okay.
So much of this was discussed with the two board members that did take time to meet with us in the committee. And I think we came out of that with a great recommendation to continue to work in a nonprofit way or fundraising way, which is something we've done for, well, I've been there since '84 or so. I was started being the course pro in '85. We've paid for the baskets twice. We replaced the tee pads, moved the course, put in tee signs, run fundraisers for all of it. And now you have two projects that kind of, I guess the bathrooms kind of make sense, but we did the gazebo for $20,000, and that's a $150,000 project if you hired somebody to do it easily. But we did it for $20,000. And now you want to start charging the people who built that field. It's not a park. It is considered park land, but it's a field. There's no irrigation. There's no maintenance. There's nobody driving out there doing stuff except for the volunteers for 35 years. And now you want to go to all those volunteers and the people that have been spending money in Final Nine, which gives you a percentage of their income, which doesn't go back into the disc golf course, it goes into the general fund. And now you want to charge me, after giving my heart and soul out there, money to come out and play in the park that I built. Seems a little weird. The other thing that came up in the committee is that other parts of the park have been improved. The other side of the park, Almond Park, you're talking about doing a playground over here. Who's being charged for that? Is that coming out of the budget? I think it is. How come when it comes to doing stuff on the disc golf course, like replacing the baskets, after 20-something years, the club and we had to run a fundraiser so you didn't have to spend any money. But now, because you want to build a bathroom for the soccer moms and expand the parking lot a little bit, you want to charge us for it. And that, to me, seems like short-sightedness when you have an opportunity to work with such a good group that has shown in the past that we can help. And that's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. I think it's John Avery.
Hello. I live in Orangevale, off of Hickory Avenue. Well, I think that was already echoing, but I would just like to echo everything that he's just presented to you as, you know, just clear fact. We have all done uncountable amounts of work out there to make that course what it is, and we didn't receive any support for it. And again, it just seems very weird to me that we could put that much time and effort into building something to have someone come along and basically say, oh, well, wow, now there's something that we can make money off of. And, you know, turn around and not only just take it away from us and charge everybody, but charge the people who made it what it is. I was reading in this, and it looked like one of your main issues was a parking lot because of overflow parking. Well, once that came up, I spoke with Bruce here in the shop and asked him, you know, well, why is that gate unlocked all the time? It's like they're having a problem with seeing cars there. Can we just put a lock on it? And a lock has been put on it, so I don't know if you've noticed, but nobody's parking on the lawn anymore because it's closed. I'm sure that could easily stay that way. So in my mind, I don't really see why, and I've stated before in other meetings, that the size of the parking lot that's there right now, when it's full of cars, that means the disc golf course is full, you know, with very large groups. If you were to add, well, I don't even know what the proposal is, 60 more spots, that's just going to mean that the course is just going to be unplayable. There'd be way too many people, and people would just go elsewhere. I keep seeing it, hearing it mentioned, and seeing it written in here about how kind of inferring that it wouldn't be setting the precedence for pay-to-play because this Sunrise course has already done it. So therefore, it would be okay because it wouldn't be first. Well, that was a private course that was that happened, and because of greed, it shut down. I mean, it's not even a course anymore. So there's no, making Orangevale pay to play would be setting the initial precedence. And I think that's just a terrible route to follow. I mean, disc golf is a lot of things to a very large amount of people, young and old. Your sign says parks make life great. Well, yeah, they do. But when you have to pay for it, it's not so great anymore. Thank you.
All right, Christopher Connor Johnson.
Am I going to start?
Whatever you want.
Oh, okay. My name is Connor Johnson. I live in Orangevale. Personally, I believe that disc golf is a hobby. It's not a business. And I feel that people running it have done their job well. As previously stated, it can be paid for by fundraising. I mean, it's not like frisbees are being stolen 24/7, and there's a desperate need for it to be paid for. I personally believe that having a cost to disc golf will bring people away from it.
I think that that people don't want to feel like they're having to pay for it. It's more of like a convenience to be able to practice this hobby instead of reminding yourself, oh yeah, you have to pay for this. It turns it from a hobby to a product, and I believe that that will not make the disc golf as great. And I also agree that it will set a precedent, which will be the first. I believe it was the Roseville one, with a private disc golf course, and they ran out of business because they were so, because they were greedy with money as well. So if we do the same thing that they did by charging to play disc golf, I think it'll just drive everybody away, and it will just kind of not benefit anyone. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, so anyone else in public wishing to speak? One.
Okay.
We want transparency. We would like comments.
Do you have to have a card to go with that?
You fill out the form.
Fill out a form as a. We'll wait 1 second while she fills it out.
Alexis. It's okay, I get Alexa all the time.
Well, what? Yeah.
Because if you have questions, come to the answer.
All right.
So, I've lived in Orangevale my whole life, and I'll be honest with you, I've never once used the disc golf, not once. But I see the passion in everyone. They built it. I drive past there all the time. Sometimes I take my son to the park, and I can see, the people playing the disc golf. And the fact that we're Orangevale, we're like rural, and this is something that they enjoy. And now I understand that you want to charge for them to play when they've been doing this for free in Orangevale. And I thought to myself, if they're doing this here in Orangevale, and I bet you that other people come in, people from Fair Oaks, from Roseville, from Folsom, they come from all over to play on our course. Wow. So they're probably going down to Denny's or to Annie's that's in Orangevale when they're done and eating. They're probably going to maybe one of the bars when they're done, having a couple of beers, keeping the money here in Orangevale, spending their time and their money here. And it all comes to our community then. And I just thought to myself, if we built this for Orangevale, shouldn't the Orangevalians be able to use it? I mean, it was built for them. And you want to charge them to use it? That just doesn't seem right. I mean, I know that when we had the pool put in, we paid taxes for that, and we still have to pay to use the pool. And I understand that, because that's got to be kept up and everything. But aren't you guys out there taking care of the course yourself?
Yes.
So if they're taking care of the course, what do we got to pay for? What has to come out of the pocket for you guys that they're doing the work for? I mean, if you could tell them, they'd probably feel a lot better if they go, well, we got to pay for, I guess they don't have to pay for anything, you're doing the work, but sure would be a nice little answer to have for you. And it seems like you guys put a lot of time, money, sweat to enjoy this, And now you're going to be charged for the work you did. It's kind of a slap in the face. So I really hope you guys reconsider this for their sake and for the people who live in Orangevale who go there to enjoy it. I guess that probably means my time's up.
Well, you still have 30 seconds.
Huh?
You still have 30 seconds.
Well, that's okay. Thank you for your time.
You did great.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess now we'll let the, we'll close the public hearing part of it. Anything you'd like to add, Greg, or?
No, just that I think it is a terribly tough decision for all of you. We do have a great club that does a tremendous amount for the course, and and there are things I'm sure that we could work on to do better to enhance it. And yet it's a little hard to sometimes reach those larger projects. And the kind of money that's necessary to do some of those kinds of things. That's all. That's what we thought this is.
All right, well, we want the board speak, and then we're going to start off with Erica.
Okay. So first I wanted to thank the ad hoc committee for your time and the staff and all the work that's gone into getting the information, the public, giving your input. It's been very interesting for me to understand the history of the course and just a lot of different dynamics that come into it. So I did enjoy, I enjoyed playing disc golf. We played disc golf as a board a couple weeks ago, and it was really fun. The disc golf game is pretty fun. I do have some concerns I did have concerns prior, and then that day they became heightened. And so my biggest concern is having increased police patrols to enforce the park regulations and better control of the alcohol and marijuana use on the course. I personally have seen this on the course. I have spoken to community members that have seen this on the course. I've talked to community members that have kids that go to schools that are in close proximity to the course, and they do not feel comfortable having their kids go in the park and to walk even through the park to have a safe route to school. So that to me is a very large problem. And yes, marijuana use, there are certain laws, but I have some codes here, county codes. The first one is the alcohol one that I'll read is County Code 9.93.010 is the consumption of alcohol in public places. It is unlawful for any person to consume beer, wine, or any intoxicating liquor in any county-owned public place. Public place shall include county parks and lands and facilities owned by any recreational and park district. In addition to that, smoking, no person shall smoke any substance in any area designated as a nature trail or nature area, or in or on any park facility where smoking is prohibited. And I believe that this is nature trail, this is park. And we should probably look to make sure that this is well posted. So this is illegal to be doing in the parks, and it is affecting our community in a negative way. It's not allowing a larger enjoyment and use of the park. So I believe that we monitor this a little bit more closely, and if it doesn't get cleaned up, then maybe in a year from now, or maybe 6 months from now, I don't know, that we look at possibly doing the pay-to-play for the sole purpose, and if there's extra funds, but to better control the alcohol and marijuana use on the course. That's how I see it.
Okay. Lisa.
Well, I agree with Erica wholeheartedly in regards to alcohol, marijuana, and smoking. but I take that to all of the parks and all of the facilities, because I use not only, I am fully aware of what's going on at the disc golf course. I am fully aware of what goes on at Pecan Park. I am fully aware of what goes on at the other parks. It's happening everywhere. So if we're going to raise funds, if we're going to ask for pay-to-play to solely be used to enforce those items of concern in our park, then we need to pay to play everywhere, because we need to enforce that at all of our parks, because it's happening more than just disc golf. It's heightened there, yes. However, it's everywhere in our parks, and we need to make that just a conscious decision to do for everyone. I would have liked to have seen a more formal report of all the surveys that were indicated in the documentation. I still would like to see that in reference to, you know, how many surveys were done, what were the answers, the percentages. That should have been included. There was the disc golf. On the weekend, the games played. I wasn't able to make it. I was sick. However, in my opinion, we had 4 board members there. There was an agenda. We should have meeting minutes for that. I would like to see those because I was not updated on some of the discussions. I don't want to set the precedence of taking a section of the park and pay to play. Because next is going to be the horse arena, the dog park, the playgrounds. It's just, we have to find a different way. I think the need out there is strong in some of the things that we want to accomplish, but I feel that with all the hard work that the club has done, that they need to legitimize themselves and become a legit club. Because to have a discount for the fact that they're a club member, an unofficial club that gets together and hang out, that's already paying and playing every Saturday, they're not obligated to our facility. We are obligated to that property, with or without that club. It is great that they help, and as an official, legitimized nonprofit organization, they can seek funds and grants to improve the property. Right now, we could be giving them a discount, and they could go, well, we're going to go over to Rockland. We're part of Shady Oaks. We got a discount over there. They have no obligation, legitimately, to the property of the Orangevale Park Shady Oaks Disc Golf Club. So I'd like to see some boundaries in regards to that. I don't think they should get a discount. That's just my opinion. That's where I'm at.
All right. Sharon.
Okay, so I heard a lot of feedback and comments about, you know, why are we now need to pay something, and now I've heard Lisa say, well, pay for policing. I think the only place that needs extra policing is the disc golf. We don't need to police the horse people. We don't need to police the pool. Granted, we do have, I have to admit, I guess, some transients that do go into some of our other parks, but it isn't like the high percentage and patronage that we get at the disc golf. So what they claim, why we have to pay something, it's to police, because when I was there a couple weeks ago, there's cursing and swearing, and I smelled pot smoking, and to me, it is, for whatever reason, why they supposedly are legit and have been there for a long time. They're not, the clientele is swearing and smoking marijuana. And so I think that the additional policing fees that we need to pay to get that reduced. And I'm also concerned that the patronage that's there is a majority, the high percentage are those that aren't Orangevale residents. While they may patronize some of the stores, I'm concerned that we are maintaining property for people that do not pay our $42 a year fee for our park district. So I'm definitely concerned that we are catering to non-residents and not catering to our residents. I think our Orangevale residents are constituents. Those are the ones that can vote for us, and those are the ones that we should be working for. they're the people of this community. And if, some of the things that were stated, the precedents that it will set, I'm okay with setting a precedent. I'm totally fine with that. The potential that members would become less actively involved, I'm okay with that too. That's fine. If we reduce the non-residents from coming, then we might not need our overflow parking. I want to be able to fund some police presence out there to remove this swearing and pot smoking constituents out there, the patronage. Let's see, 5 was more vandalism due to frustration. Well, then I guess we don't have very good patrons out there if they're going to vandalize it. 6 was could result in patrons trying to play before or after operations. Well, we can't police it 100%. So maybe those people get away with it. Maybe those that can abide by the rules of the park will play. But my hope is that if we do pay to play, the ones that have to pay will police the ones that don't pay. And the whole thing about, oh my gosh, we're asking you to spend so much money. $130 a year. I'm just astounded that somebody thinks to be part of this club or this organization or this community that is going to, I heard it's a hobby. So $130 for a hobby, when I see people spend so much money on video games and things like that, I don't consider it exorbitant to be asking for those fees. And if Lisa thinks that we don't need to give a discount to the Shady Oak people, that's okay. I'm okay with not giving them a discount.
You should have let the board talk first.
So this golf.
This is not what we came for.
So pay to play needs to cover some of the existing maintenance costs. I realize you all contribute and you go out and work and do some of these things, but it's neither the club nor Final Nine own that course. It's the park districts. And we are responsible for doing the maintenance and upkeep of that park.
Are you going to pay these guys then for their work? Is that what my son?
No, the public is closed.
Oh, you can't talk? Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. But are we able to talk afterwards?
No.
So the other item I have to bring up is the maintenance costs are higher for the disc golf course, and it is basically exclusive use by the disc golf users. The horse arena is less maintenance. I've heard all these arguments before, oh, you don't have to pay for the horse arena, but it's lower maintenance and we don't have to have cops out there making sure there's not pot smoking horse riders and things like that. It's less expensive. And it can also have other alternate uses. So you don't have to, well, it was used once alternatively for a concert. Granted, I thought it was more than once, Lisa, but it can be used alternatively. Let's see, pay to play. So back down to these other items. Policing. I'm in favor of shaking out a pay to play for a trial basis. That's.
What is that?
I think, I know the position of the committee was to not recommend it, and you were thinking of looking at it in the future. I want to flip it around. Let's give it a try and see if we can get some funds in here to increase policing. I want it to be a little bit more family friendly, because when I was there 2 weeks ago, it didn't appear family friendly to me at all. I felt like an outsider in my own park, and that was kind of upsetting to me. That I didn't feel that I could take my kids there and Erica.
Right. Are you done?
Yeah, and basically it's the percent of residents that are constituents, and so I'm want to represent them, and that this park is for them.
All right, the procedure is, we wanted public input, we had our staff give their input, now it's the board's opportunity to explain where they're coming from.
True, but we're not talking about what we have in the report. We are on the ad hoc committee. We did not know that was the reason why you guys were wanting to pay to play. That wasn't what we were discussing in the ad hoc meeting, so.
It is okay. It's a
Number 5 is.
No, when we met, that's not the reason we were told we were meeting. I'm sorry, I was in the meeting, I didn't feel like the whole conversation was about what was happening on,
Whatever, okay. Manny?
Okay. Let's see, over the weekend I was out with my cousins. They played golf, I just walked. We were at William Land Park, and I heard the same thing that I hear out here there at William Land Park. Same kind of dialogue. And that's a...
More comps.
At William Land, probably. But I didn't hear anything really different. A lot of you see me out there all the time. I walk the park and I check out. I see young families out there. I see grandmas with kids out there at all hours. I see some of these characters out there playing golf the whole time, and I see them policing other players. You know, telling them off, basically, to shape up or move. You know, I've had my say and my piece. I don't know. This is a hard thing. Maybe in 2-3 years, pay to play may be a thing on the horizon, telling people we're going to be moving to this eventually, to consider it eventually. But I've had my say. I like the way the course has gone. Finding a need and a use for that piece of property was kind of a real godsend, because that was going to be houses. That was going to be 4 and 5 houses to the acre there. So we fought to keep it open space, and the nature area helped protect that area that we developed into disc golf. But it's the nature of the beast, I guess. You know, parkland is zoned O-zone, which is sounds kind of strange, but O-zone is for open space. And so it's defining that every open space needs at least 3 recreational activities to remain in open space. See, that could be bird watching, it could be walking, it could be horseback riding, it could be walking. But I really don't see a need at this time for development of any fees or anything. I think maintaining it as it is, going on for right now, is well enough. You know, all our parks have needs, and we have a constituent base here. If we average, I would say, close to 100 people a day. Okay, 100 people a day times 365, you've got about 36,000 people out there a year for one activity. And that's a lot for a small part of the park. And to maintain it as such in that level, 36,000 people visiting one area and that place still looking the way it does over the course of the year says a lot. You know, it could be full of trash. It could be, and it was at one time. You remember that we were out there picking up garbage. I don't see that anymore. So I don't know. I've had my say and my opinion's been noted, and I'll stick with that. We say no at this time.
All right. My opinion is that, and Manny and myself were on the board when we allowed Byline to come there, and there were a group of people that wanted to completely shut down the golf. And me and Manny.
That was one of us.
And me and Manny were opposed to that. It's a very popular activity. We want people to come to our parks. We also want them to help us maintain them. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that, the high percentage of the people that play disc golf do not live in Orangevale. And I think we're trying to get them to pay a percentage of the cost.
What cost?
Well, I'm not going to get into that.
I'm just curious.
Well, we can discuss that at another time privately, if you want. So, I think at this point we need a motion and a second to see if we're going to have pay to play.
I move that we, on a one-year trial basis, do pay to play with the fee structure as presented. $3 a day for Monday through Friday, $5 a day for Saturday and Sunday. Residents, I won't do a different rate for Shady Oaks, so residents $100, non-residents $150 for a one-year pass.
All right, and I'll second that for an opportunity to vote.
Okay.
All right? So then we're going to go ahead and vote.
Swenson, no. Stickney,
Yeah.
Mraz,
No.
Bremberg,
Yes.
Montez.
Yes.
All right, so we're done.
Yep. Doesn't pass.
Doesn't pass. All right.
Can I make a motion though to have it discussed at a later date?
No,
Or do
we
we
should have
not
done
need
it.
to?
No.
Should have done it tonight, Eric.
You can ask next January if you want. We can certainly discuss it then, but
We've been bringing it back for 5 years now.
Okay.
all right. All right, so then we'll go ahead to 13C, approval of resolution establishing classes for regular fund and salary ranges.
Want to let people have enough events to leave?
Right.
Okay. This is, if you remember, probably 3 years ago, I should actually brought the page. It's on here.
So what page is this?
This is page 55. Okay, so our relationship with SCRS started back in 1984. And the agreement was actually made by way of resolution in 1987. And what the resolution stated was that the district was limited to have part-time employees work only 20 hours a week, or they would be considered regular employees and they would receive the benefits associated with SCRS membership. And we have been adhering to that since that time. And a couple years ago, we approached the SCRS board and said, this isn't working as well as we hoped. The people that work part-time really desire to work more hours than the 20 hours a week, and yet they can't. They a lot of times have to get 2 jobs potentially to make it work for their families, and a lot of them are more temporary or seasonal in nature, and they would like to be able to work more hours than just the 20 hours a week. So a couple years ago, we went to SCRS and proposed a change up to 1,500 hours a year for our part-time seasonal employees, which we passed by resolution. And at that time, we gave it to SCRS to look at. We were hoping that they would respond and give us a yay, your resolution is fine, or no, it's not. And they decided not to comment. Okay? And so we went ahead and passed the resolution. And shortly after that, we heard that they were starting to look at auditing other districts for employees that work more regular and over 20 hours a week. And so we didn't ever, as far as the staff, institute that because we didn't want to potentially have any long-term liability associated with us possibly having a resolution in conflict with the original SCRS resolution. So approximately, I would say 9 months ago, the discussion was brought up at SCRS and with every other park district. And we've met several times since then, and SCRS has determined and done it by their resolution and their policy to now allow part-time employees to work up to 1,566 hours a year as part-time or seasonal employees and not be eligible for the SCRS benefits. And so, do you have a question, Ryan?
Yeah, and what, our policy now is how many hours?
Our policy says 1,560 or 60, I'm not sure.
So it's the same number that they've proposed.
It's basically the same number as they're proposing. Because their verbiage is different than ours was when we passed this resolution a couple of years ago, we are in concurrence with the new SCRS policy. We feel that it adequately speaks to the park district's needs, not only ours, but throughout the entire area. And so we are now bringing this resolution to you to align our policy and employee classification with theirs that they have already approved, which in essence allows our employees to work up to 1,566 hours per year. That could be on an average throughout the year, or it could be a higher amount seasonally, like for summer work. And so I think it really serves the community's needs. I think it serves the district's needs. It serves the individual part-time employees that want to work for our district. And we think it's a great compromise that was brought forward both by SCRS and with input of all the other park districts. So what we're asking is for you to approve Resolution 18-12-611, which aligns the two agencies' policies and increases the hours that part-time or seasonal employees can work to 1,566 hours. That's not to say that we will have positions that work that much, but all of those things are brought to the board yearly at budget time. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board has, and you have in front of you both a final copy of or a clean copy of Resolution 18-12-611, as well as a red line copy. You also have the original special district agreement, just for your information. Also, Exhibit B includes the membership policy that SCRS adopted, and then our employment classifications, C1, Exhibit C1 and C2, which in essence are saying that our full-time employment classifications are eligible for SCRS, and the C2 is our non-eligible employee classifications for the upcoming year. And I'm happy to take any questions that the board may have.
What is the penalty to the district if we go over the 1,566 hours? Do they become regular employees then?
Yes, they would be considered regular employees, and they would be eligible for SCRS benefits.
How close are we?
We're not even close. We have kept everyone under 20 hours, so it's about 1,040 hours a year.
Consider 2,080 hours a year or so.
Yeah.
can't because there's always a potential of mistake. Some work over that.
What? I'm sorry.
Potential. Mistakes happen and all of a sudden somebody becomes more than 50 or 66.
Okay.
So then,
So you'd like this, the 15 be higher?
no, I want lower than the 50 and 66.
He wants to ensure that we maintain all of our part-time employees under that amount.
Oh, okay.
And you really don't have to worry about that, Mike. I mean, it's not done by, I mean, in essence, by adopting this, you can add to the motion that you want staff to track and ensure that no part-time employees exceed the 1,566 hours. I think that's appropriate.
I agree.
Well, I've worked with government, and I know, and Lisa has, and Manny has, and mistakes get made. And I don't want, we can push it right to the edge, and then all of a sudden, oops, we're over, and then we have another regular employee.
I think whatever level we set that at, that's a possibility, because that should be human error.
Right, so I'm, instead of saying 1566, do 1,400. I don't, you pick another number, just slightly under the 50.
Oh, to give us a buffer, is that what?
Right, that's all.
Okay,
I
I see where Mike's going, he's looking for that buffer. So
No,
maybe,
they would plan the buffer.
Yeah.
Let your administrator
Yeah. All right.
do the job.
yeah.
I'm just concerned
Because we
about.
want to stay, close to what's already,
Right.
so I think what they can do is they can plan the buffer,
Right.
knowing what that might be.
All right.
That's
So,
it.
and that
I
should
just,
kind of give you what you need.
yeah, and if you want to say,
Okay.
yeah.
Give him the max and let him do his job. Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, the FTEs are always a problem, but it's easily controlled through payroll because that's where you would.
We do, we look at it every year, and I'm not saying that a mistake could be made because, mistakes are made at times, but it's quite a bit of hours for us. We would have to kind of change our policy as far as how we hire part-time employees to be bumping up against that. I'm not saying it couldn't happen over the course of a couple of years, but we certainly look at that as a staff.
Can I make a motion?
Sure.
I move we approve resolution 18-12-611, resolution establishing classes of regular employment and salary ranges.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Then we'll go ahead and vote.
Stickney?
Abstain.
Mraz?
Yes.
Grunberg?
Yes.
Montez?
Yes.
Swenson, yes.
Okay, we have 4-0-1 abstention. All right. Then we're on to 13D.
All right, 13D is approval of the clarification regarding the district high deductible health plan, employee premium payment. So if you've read this, you can see where we just missed by a couple words.
We didn't say to pay the premium.
Right. And it's something that, as they were doing the audit, they read through it and just mentioned it. We thought we'd just take care of it right away and just do it. It's actually would be in next year's audit rather than this year's audit, but we just, thought we could, do it quickly and get it out of the way. So basically, it's just a motion that would, a statement regarding the employee's benefit amount if a high deductible plan is selected. So the motion would be, I move that the district pay an employee's high deductible premium up to the amount approved each year for the family medical benefit.
So moved.
I second that.
And we have a motion and...
I think Lisa beat
Motion with 2 seconds. I'll let Lisa be the second.
Okay.
You guys make my job hard.
I like
All
that.
right.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Do we need any further discussion? Okay, then we'll go ahead and vote.
All right, Mraz?
Yes.
Grunberg?
Yes.
Montez?
Yes.
Swenson, yes. Stickney?
Yes. Okay, then we have E. Approval of agreement with MTW Landscape Architects on on-call service, $9,000.
Okay, so this is an other professional services contract that is with MTW. We've got several small things, and you, I'm sure, read the different projects that we're talking about, that I just need to have some ability to talk with him and have him do some hourly type work. They're not large projects, and I really doubt that we're going to bump against that 9,000 at all. So the 4 projects that are specifically listed here, and I've got one other that I've even thought of since then. So the 4 or the 5 that I'll add is the one that I'll add also, including the one I'll add. This schematic design for the accessible pathway. One of our projects this year is to provide accessible path to the Alden playground. So it's that work, schematic design for accessible pathway to the playground and basketball court at the youth center. So that's across the street to the, there's 2 things. One goes to the actual baseball diamond, and the other then comes up to the basketball courts and the playground. And then also, we are requesting, as we redo the playground, to do a sidewalk loop around, kind of like we did at Norman Hamlin. You know, we did that little extension around there so parents can kind of walk around the playground on the outside. So, and it's nice to be able to do that and then provide seating, you know, along the edge of the playground. So that, and then our electric greenway master plans, they're very small and they're fairly inconsequential, but they'll be part of this outreach that we do to the community in regard to the natural area at Sundance, and then the open space from String, from the Woodmore, from the Escalona properties to String Avenue. And so the 5th is we're doing big day of service projects. And we started to plan them, and there's a couple of them that we would like a little bit of help from MTW on. One is we're looking at the possibility of doing the activity area right next to the large picnic structure at Orangevale Community Park. So Orangevale Community Park, the large, you know, picnic structure, right next to it in our master plan, we talked about adding horseshoe pits, possibly some cornhole, you know, thing, and the Gaga pit. Yes. And so we've talked about, in doing that, there's a lot we have to consider because we have irrigation all in there. You have to decide what kind of access you're going to provide. Is it going to be DG? Is it going to, you know, what exactly would need to be done if we had a big day of service project there? Because it's really within something they could do, and it'd be super cool.
It's coming up quick.
It would be super cool to do it.
And to have the community.
You want to excavate.
Because then they'll want to come and use it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
And so, so that's a project, and the other big day of service project that I would like to engage their services with is the potential bridge at Pecan Park. And so, if you remember, we did the Eagle Scout project around the disc golf, around the dog park area, and we just put it in AB, you know, just so it's ready to compact and actually do something for the future. And we talked about the possibility of doing that through the disc golf area, across the creek, up to the parking lot. Now, that's too big a project for the big day of service, but I'd like to see if we could design a bridge that we could put in there that would be fairly low cost and would allow a mower to be able to traverse across there, because that's always something that would be really nice to be able to go to both sides of the park. Right now we have to pack it up and move it around the other side. So, so that's the project we're talking about, and I could use MTW's services. We're actually talking about getting an engineer to volunteer his time, but it would be helpful to have MTW do some of the planning part of it. So those are the projects I'm talking about, and so it would be to approve this project with MTW in an amount not to exceed $9,000.
I move to approve the agreement with MTW Landscape Architects for on-call services in the amount not to exceed $9,000.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we need any further discussion?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
On the bridge going across, what would the weight classification be on that, 10,000?
No, I think it was even less. I think it was like that we were looking at least a couple thousand pounds, but they were going to plan it for maybe 5 to 10,000.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So,
Good question, Beth?
good question, let's vote.
Brumberg,
Yes.
Montez,
Yes.
Swenson, yes, Stickney,
Yes.
Moraz,
Yes.
Okay, elections of officers for 2019. How the board would like to do this?
Awkward in the past.
It's always awkward.
I would love to stay the secretary if you'll have me. It's
Oh,
my
I was
life
giving you a break,
myself.
but okay.
Oh.
She keeps me awake.
Okay.
I know a night
I'm
person.
an Eric to be secretary.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I move Mike to be chair.
I second.
Sure? Okay. All right.
All in favor?
That was you,
Aye.
Brumberg?
Yeah, I'm not going to
Okay.
be chair.
Yes.
Aye.
Fine.
No problem.
Anybody wishing to be vice chair? Lisa again?
I like it.
I move Lisa be vice chair.
Although,
I'll
a
second.
couple times Sharon and I wonder.
We wondered who was voted in, we forget.
Yeah. We did forget the
It's
three.
all right.
We got each other's back.
All right, so we have all in favor for Lisa?
Aye.
All right, so we have the,
Chairman?
we have the officers for 2019-20. And as chair, I would like you guys to let Greg know or me know what position, what committee she would like to be on.
Ooh, I'd love to see you.
So, no, not now, just.
Yeah, just email him.
Or you can tell me, or after the meeting, or let Greg know. All right. All right, staff and directors' comments. Jason?
Well, you know, all I got to say is, I'm sure I'll see everybody on the first, right?
Actually, I won't be.
Erica has to do it.
I've been trying to
And what
figure out
time is
where
it?
to get
In the water one, so you want to be there by like 12:30.
If you
All right.
stand next to her, she can be.
The newest employee has to be here too.
I didn't say it.
My 8-year-old said she would
I'll
do
be
good
there.
things.
All right.
You got to listen.
All right, so we got the,
And we're closed the Christmas week to New Year's, right?
That will be closer to the second, and then we're back in on third.
Okay, throughout the.
So that's basically like the schools.
No, well, we're back before the schools.
Oh, okay.
We're on, so it's that Thursday.
Thursday before, yeah, correct.
close to what the school district has. Now, are we gonna have anybody here, the part-time people at all, or in the office, or?
I mean, there's an emergency number in case we see like.
Yeah, we have some people out in the park. Some of the park staff will be here. As far as some of our employees will be in the office. I know
In
that,
and out.
yeah.
And then what we do, usual work, just waxing or whatever?
Yeah, we still have some work to do on that. So I'm not sure when they're gonna start and finish it, but there's some floor.
And the last thing is the Christmas party is tomorrow, starting at 11:30.
Correct. Employee appreciation.
Okay, whatever.
I might only be able to go for like half an hour.
That's fine.
Because my kids, they have a whole bunch of stuff for the last Christmas.
Lisa said you weren't gonna be
I've only
there.
made 2 in like.
I really want
You're not
to,
gonna be.
I really, please
And
pass
so-
on my holiday, Christmas wishes to everyone, staff, and as well as the guys, that I really appreciate that. So I kind of was planning on being there, but we got new staff members, so I became low man on totem pole and got bumped.
Okay.
All right,
So I just want to make sure that we don't have, that we only have 2 and not 3, because I didn't agendize the meeting tomorrow.
so it'll be just, well, I'll be here, but just for, you can agendize if you want, I'll be
I
here.
can't, because it's too late.
It's too late,
So
so.
I can really only have.
Oh, we can only 2 of us are allowed.
Yeah, I apologize because I just
So
didn't
who's all going?
agendize it.
Well, we can
Maybe
RSVP, so we have to take responsibility.
But I
Oh, well, I honestly, I really want to be there, but my kids have
Okay, Erica's not going. So
after
Erica's
school
not going.
stuff. really wanted to come.
And Director Perez.
Okay.
Utilities. And I'll only be there a
Now you
short
don't have to
while.
go back.
All right, thank you.
But please just pass on my wishes.
We
I
will.
appreciate that.
All right. Horatio, it's not Horatio, it's Horacio?
Yeah.
All right, I'm working on that.
Horacio.
All right.
So like I said, we've been doing quite a bit of work out there. All irrigation has been turned off, and we're working on getting some projects done, like pruning and getting those bigger items. Right now, that maintenance is pretty low. So I'll be there for the event.
And the drinking fountains are getting worked on soon?
That's some of the projects are.
All right.
Weather permits and of course staffing, but yes, those are the projects that.
Staff did a great job for the Christmas tree lighting.
Oh, yeah, I was,
I heard it was packed.
Yeah. Parking went well as well. At the beginning was a little, chaotic, but it was a.
it's your first one, so
It will get better.
yeah.
You won't, but we'll
It'll get
pretend.
better.
We need shuttle.
Anything else, Jennifer?
No, audit's done, like good. Obviously working on the benefits for 2019. Something we can do all.
You got it. And then your whole staff is different now, or everybody up front is relatively new within the last 6 months, a year?
We have several, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I think our staff is just really great right now. I look at what gets accomplished with basically just our full-timers now out in the parks area. Even though the transitions and you don't have the low-end flow stuff as much, there's still just, projects that go on, and they're out there just working away at knocking them off. Excellent. Our front office staff, I think, is really, really good now. They are, not they always work good, but we have some individuals that are, I just think, real additive to our organization, and it's, two of you will get a chance to meet them tomorrow and meet some of them. And you can come by, ask them a few questions. They're just really, good, solid, excellent people. And obviously our professional staff and things, I think they just do a remarkable job. So it's fun working here. It's fun being there.
Well, I got to, talk with some of the Fed office staff during the craft fair, the community dinner. I can't even talk enough about the staff and what they did to help with that community dinner, which was a huge success. So, and the Park District has been nominated for Best Entertainment Venue, Best Hangout, Best Sports. I mean, like 5 different categories for the Best of Orangevale. So we're very excited
I
about
won't
it.
vote for 5, that's why.
So, it's great. Make sure you guys vote.
I voted for 5.
So anything else you want to add, Lisa, since you started this?
Just Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year's and blessings to everyone. And I'm looking forward to 2019. I have received some information yesterday that some of the groups that we work with are looking to come to the park for some activities. So I'm excited about those possibilities.
And we've got the new border for the holidays.
Which is now called the Orangevale Town Fair. So yes, now we don't have those boundaries restrictions. It's going to make my layout and design a lot easier. Life will be.
All right.
Like I said, we get to do the happy dance now.
Yes.
Anything else?
I just second that. I'm always amazed at everything you all can do, and with the small amount of people that you have, do a lot. So, thank you.
All right, I was at the lighting for most of, for some of it. And it is very, one of our better events, and we have a lot of good events, but it just seems like it really draws the crowd, and the weather cooperated. Haven't been here when it's raining.
The setup was excellent. It flows very well. It flows very well.
Yeah.
So, well, thank the staff for that. All right. Jim?
I'm good. Happy holidays to the staff. I won't be here tomorrow, and I won't see you till January. So, love all that you do, and great job.
Manny?
Prefab bathrooms on restroom is on page 13 of the Park and Rec magazine. One-stop shopping, in case you're interested in looking
Can
at
we
it.
click add to cart?
Yes, at the-
Add to cart and check out?
my best wish to Santa is 2 of those restrooms.
Yeah.
But no, just thanks to the staff and stuff for helping out. The tree lighting was, I had people tell me they look forward to it every year, and it is growing. And I was wondering if maybe RT or paratransit might want to provide round-trip bus channeling of people from maybe the church property over here to here, just round trip. For a couple of hours, it's great advertising for them. And they've got the...
We've talked about a lot of this stuff, Annie. I appreciate those comments, and I know Lisa's been a real proponent of trying to get some additional avenues maybe over the past year, and so we'll look at it. We feel like we're kind of right at the, we're in a pretty good place right now. I don't know how much the event will grow in the future, but it's really tight for about 30 minutes, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe longer.
Parking lot is.
Yep.
I mean,
It flowed well.
Yeah.
it helped with the Regency Baptist giving us a few more
That has
spots,
helped,
and then we
yeah.
figured out how to use the overflow parking up there.
But I still think, it would probably be easy if we had one other avenue, to go to one of the churches.
I had some folks
School and stuff.
very much in a dispute over my parking spot.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Would we be
all
able
I had.
to fit that many more people, though?
Yeah, that's the challenge.
Yeah.
That is a little bit of a challenge, but we'll look at it.
I remember when that little tree was a Charlie Brown tree.
Yeah.
That many years ago, I was like, okay, we're gonna light that tree? Okay. Now it's big and beautiful. It was tiny back in the.
It was called pitiful.
Oh, you could decorate it with ladders. That was how you.
You didn't even, I don't think you needed a ladder back when I first saw it.
When we first started decorating it, we had ladders out there. That was good.
They were looking down on it at that time.
It's not a ladder work.
Now it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
But
tree.
now you guys got it down to a science. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right, items for next time is...
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
It's rare when we as a staff talk about how much we appreciate you as a board. You've dealt with a couple of really tough issues, along with just the daily things or the monthly things. And I'm always really happy with the detail that you guys take and the time you take to look at the packages, to get back with questions. I'm amazed at the questions. Jennifer and I go, ooh, they saw that, they found it. And that's really great. And I just want to say, just like this tonight, I thought you just handled it very, very well. I mean, things were expressed by everyone, even though there was a divergent opinion, and very respectful. And so I just want to say thank you, because it makes our job really great as a staff to have a board that communicates that well and represents, I think, the community that well. So thank you.
Yeah, we try to do our job.
We try.
Thanks, yeah.
Try our best.
They'll probably get paid a little bit.
All right, so items for next time that I have is the fencing across the street. So you're going to bring pictures of the one you picked. They may or may not want to bring the other ones.
Yeah, I don't get our hopes up.
Well, no, he showed me them, and there was like 3 choices, and it looks nice. For
I
my
actually went and
opinion.
took photos because you told us to look
Well,
at ideas, so.
Well,
send it to you.
we'll have photos, and then I'm assuming you're going to write the letter to Sue Ross before you leave, because you're going on vacation or not?
So I'll be here all next week.
Okay, so we need to get a letter, and then I think Lisa and Sharon make a good point, and we should extend the concrete walkway as far as possible. They've got the money, because they charge everybody when they have all these developments to put in building better, and then they don't spend it. So they've got the money. They just have to find the pocket that it's in.
So they also have a policy of not of stopping, start, stop on their sidewalks. That's a traffic study that Steve White, I think he's still in the department head of transportation, that they had a policy of trying to reduce the number of road stoppage with white borders, and then, so they were going to stop that. This is a main thoroughfare. It has
And there is a school in there.
yeah, and it's,
Isn't there a sidewalk we connect to,
And-
right? In front of the church, so.
Yeah, the church is kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they treat that, because it is a little different. There's a lot of drives, and there's, if you remember, there's a little parking area right in front of the church too. And then, it's pretty unique, off of Hazel out there.
No, this is-
The guy in the corner, he's got like access. I'm gonna see how they're gonna deal with that, but that's their problem.
I'm just thinking of the kids.
And then the last thing is the old fire station, we need to have that on the agenda, and I recommend, if you get a chance, drive by and look at it.
okay.
Well, we try to visualize the 7 acres that are, I guess that's to the southeast of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, real quick, the sidewalk meets the definition of safe route to schools.
Yeah.
Because that is definitely, that's chapter verse of prevention and protection of children. So safe route to schools, that little piece right there, if they don't do it, they're going to get finger pointed at them by the state. That's a state route. And all the logging trucks that go through there, it makes no sense for them to leave that vacant.
I'm going to get a yes unless we ask.
All right.
Okay, I move we adjourn.
Well, we're gonna go to closed session, so we're gonna go into closed session in 5 minutes for according to Government Code
Yes.
54957.
Yep.
It's our quarterly evaluation.
Oh my gosh.
So 5 minutes.
How did I miss that?
5 minutes.
Okay.
Very bottom, 17. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.